So today we want to talk about Canadian Prepper's latest video where he gives real preppers a warning. And what I find interesting is he's finally reached the point where he sees what the actual problem is. In long-term survival, the problem is always attrition, whether it's from warfare or just sustaining life. Because in a survival situation, everything is a consumable. It doesn't matter if it's a sewing machine, a gun, ammunition, animals, farms, houses, infrastructure. It's all consumed and damaged in the survival effort. And I've talked extensively for the last 10 years here on YouTube, and Google has done everything they can to suppress the fact that improvised and expedient construction and manufacturing and small-scale manufacturing is always the key to long-term survival. Canadian Prepper hasn't realized that yet. He's on the way to realizing that, but ultimately having people that can do expedient and improvised construction with raw materials, salvage components, forged components, stored components, that is the key to survival. If you look at my channel, there's extensive information on expedient and improvised construction. There's extensive information about small-scale manufacture. One of the keys to survival in a community is a 5-10 program. The militia calls that a 5-person fire team and a 10-person squad. The survivalist modifies that, and in a survival or prepping community, it is a 5-man security operation and a 10-man or woman labor organization. So what we strive to do is have enough material on hand to equip a 5-person security element and to supply enough material, tools, equipment, and life support to support a 10-person labor force. And that's per survival family. So in addition to their own preparedness, they have to be able to have the capacity to supply others. And when you look at extended families, if you have an extended family that is actually 4 or 5 small families, and you multiply that out 4 times the 5-person security is 20 to 25 people worth of equipment. And it is 50 to 60 people worth of labor in addition to the members of those families. Now, there's a lot of basic information that people need to know. For instance, here I have a whole bunch of thread, and I like to utilize 1970s era sewing machines because they're all mechanical and I can repair those. The ones with modern electronics, I cannot repair. So, for instance, in my shop, I have 3 sewing machines, 2 heavy-duty ones, and then I have a shoe patcher that was from China. That's basically a copy of a Singer sewing machine that's designed to repair shoes and boots. Now, the interesting thing is, I would like to add a Juki industrial machine that can sew heavy cloth and leather to round out some of my machines. So when we look at our 5-10 program, I could actually take my existing shop and put 10 people to work just with the equipment I have on hand that I use occasionally. And for instance, with repair sewing, you can repair tents, clothing, dog coats, human coats, web gear, backpacks, and you can also manufacture those in small quantities. If you look at the sling pack video I did, that can be easily sewed from a pair of pants taken from the enemy or bought from Goodwill. So we have a lot of possibilities there. And one thing people don't realize is the home sewing machine cannot support all the size threads that you need to survive. So when we look at thread is something that nobody thinks about, and it's difficult to make. I use a lot of upholstery thread that's actually plastic or Lexan rather than cotton-based or synthetic fibers. And you have to have an industrial machine or a shoe patcher or a leather machine to use some of these bigger size threads. You can see on this one how big this thread is. That won't work in your home machine. Now, this one is small enough that it's at the very top of what a home machine could use. So just having basic skills like sewing in a commercial environment today, I take the time to change the thread and bobbins in order to match the color of thread to whatever I'm repairing. In a survival situation, I could save 50 to 60% of my sewing time by not doing that and just using one color of thread to fix everything. Because in SHTF, nobody's going to care. Now, one of the strategies I use in my shop is right now I got about 25 things I need to repair using my sewing machines and my leather sewing equipment. So I save that stuff up and I do it in blocks to aid efficiency. But in SHTF, you're going to have attrition of all kinds of equipment. You're going to be repairing and manufacturing at the same time. So I would imagine all of this stuff is going to be working. Now, weapons are the same way. They have to be cleaned, maintained, and repaired. And in SHTF, what people don't realize is weapons get shot just like people do. They get fragged, they get burnt, and a lot of your operations are salvage oriented in order to maintain weapons. For instance, if you have odd calibered weapons, for instance, 222 Remington, 221 Fireball, those can be manufactured from a round of 5.56 with no issues if you have the reloading die. If you look at supplemental weapons that share the same basic case sizes as 7.62 NATO and 5.56, you can always manufacture ammunition from those components for your other weapons. Now, one of my viewers asked me about how to manufacture and make things for odd weapons that you would have in SHTF. And the fact is, there's a lot of handguns that we don't have holsters for. They're not manufactured. So, for instance, these replicas of World War II holsters, this one for a .38 revolver, it has shell loops on it. And this is a real simple design. We can copy this out of leather, or we can use canvas and blue jean pants to actually manufacture copies of this. What you would want to do is get a holster like this and disassemble it to use it for a pattern. And then what we can do is alter this one sewing line here to fit the type of gun that we actually want to put it in. This is an example made by Sarco, and it's a Walther P38 holster, but it's copied on a .45 automatic holster, and they added a magazine holder right here onto the basic holster. And like I said, this line is the one you modify based on what kind of gun you want to put in it. Now, this is another example of a holster that would be very easy to manufacture at home. You could sew this by hand with a leather needle and a punch. You could also sew this on a sewing machine using blue jean material or canvas. And this is actually a German World War II type paratrooper holster that was designed for Fallschirmjäger to parachute with their P-38. They also made this for Lugers. And it's skeletonized, but it's very secure and you won't lose your weapon. This kind of holster uses a minimal amount of material. It's easy to manufacture at home, and you can vary the shape of the base here and the size of these loops to fit any kind of handgun. So this is another example of something that can be made at home or on a small scale manufacturing to outfit people. When you're foraging or people bring you odd weapons, you can manufacture this stuff for them during SHTF, or you can do it now to make money. And then we have all kinds of shell carriers and belts that we can manufacture out of home. And like I said, with our sewing equipment, we could actually manufacture this out of blue jean or canvas rather than leather. And then we have basic maintenance. So I spend a lot of time maintaining things for myself and other people, doing service work, repair work. These are the consumables that mean the difference in survival. So my thoughts in response to Canadian Prepper is we need to stress home manufacture, small scale manufacture, improvise and expedient manufacture, and improvise and expedient construction. Because the fortifications, the infrastructure, the roadways and paths you're going to need to survive, that's how you're going to get them. Please share your thoughts. We'll see you on the next video.